somewhere in the midst of the very fascinating and compelling science topics discussed on this channel, I want to tell my own science story. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Yusef Dunbar. This is Big Discussions 76, Science and Technology. Please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. The title of this video is I want to tell my own science story. So, coincidentally, shooting this video, I am in Western New York, in the very place where my own science journey started many years ago. And actually, on my original Big Discussions 76 channel, I actually shot a video discussing how I became interested and actually fascinated with biology in the 7th grade. And I will probably remaster and upload that video here on this channel. But I'm going to start by saying that before I started YouTubing and writing and doing all of the stuff I'm doing now, I read, and I think what might have been one of the Rich Dad books, that each of us should create a personal mission statement. And so years ago, on my mission statement, I wrote it down on a 3x5 card, and I taped it on my wall in my work area back at my place in Northern Virginia. And I can recall that two of the items were to improve the lives of others and also to promote STEM awareness and awareness of the sciences amongst my people and amongst young people from my background and my community. So that's something that I pondered years ago and something that I set out to do years ago. I didn't quite know how I was going to do it, but it's something that I thought that I wanted to do. And so while this has been somewhat of a coronavirus COVID-19 channel up to this point, I do intend to do other things with this channel. I'm not saying I'm throwing the coronavirus away completely because it may be with us for a while, but it just so happened that I launched this channel right around the time that the pandemic hit the United States, and right around that time when the quarantine and the lockdown set in. So the channel just happened to launch at that time, and the coronavirus slash COVID-19 pandemic slash crisis just happened to create a gravy train of videos and content. So it was, in a way, it was perfect timing. But again, that's not all I intend to do with this channel. So what made me think about making this video now and moving forward with telling my STEM story? Going back to my mission statement, it's something that I thought about, and I do have a 9-to-5 in the public sector as a regulatory scientist, and there are days when I've been working and I've wondered, if the best use of my time and my skills and my talent is sitting in a cubicle every day, deliberating and poring over government regulations. I've wondered if my true destiny is to do something like this, where I'm telling others how they can get involved in the STEMs and the sciences. So before I became a YouTube content creator, I was actually doing a lot of blogging and writing, and my blogging platform, the Big Words blog site, has grown quite a bit since I started it. And on this channel, I flashed several of my science posts, and I've left those links under several of these videos so viewers can read some of my science content. And a couple of years ago, after President Trump got elected, I wrote a piece called, I believe it's called, "Who Will Benefit from Apple's $350 million or $1 billion investment?" And that piece was about, at that point, I think we all knew that black people, descendants of African slaves in the United States, I think it was known at that point that we were underrepresented in the STEMs. And I basically made the argument in that blog post that those people lacking the skills to work at a company like Apple would be left out of those investment dollars and those jobs that Apple was going to create. And so I was basically arguing in that blog post that we need to do a better job across the board of getting underrepresented minorities involved in the STEMs. Now, recently, I've been getting a lot of guest content on my blogging platform, and one of those guest posts was called, I believe, Challenges Facing the STEM Sector. And I was, just going over, I'm getting a lot of guest content, and I was trying to figure out, where to promote the piece and where to put the piece, and should I share it on Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. So I read the piece, and partway through the piece, it said, due to the coronavirus / COVID-19 pandemic / crisis, the United States is going to get fewer students from overseas to come and study the STEMs and the hard sciences. And I read that, and I said, you know what? Well, what about the students here, and what about the young people here that we're not taking advantage of, who could learn the STEMs and the hard sciences as well? And particularly, I'm thinking about kids in the inner city communities. What about them? Those kids could fill those spots. Those individuals could become physicists and pharmacologists and toxicologists and genetic engineers and aerospace scientists. What about those kids? What about those people? And, that made me think about my West Indian Archie blog post. So a couple of years ago, during Black History Month, I wrote a blog post on Malcolm and West Indian Archie. And so one of the most influential books in my walk and in my journey was the autobiography of Malcolm X. And one of the characters that stood out to me the most was West Indian Archie. I'm just going to be brief here and just say that, and this is shown in the Spike Lee movie, and it's discussed in the autobiography written by Alex Haley. But basically, West Indian Archie ran a numbers running ring in Harlem when Malcolm got to Harlem. And, they were in business together, and they eventually fell out due to the street life. But when Malcolm joined the Nation of Islam, he looked back and he realized that West Indian Archie had the ability to memorize long sequences of numbers. And Malcolm realized that someone with that talent, as opposed to using that talent in a life of crime, someone with that talent could have used it to become a physicist or a surgeon or a astronomer or something scientific. And that just stood out to me. And I think that that's it relates to a lot of kids in the inner city. A lot of the kids who don't have role models and mentors and someone to show them that they can be involved in the sciences, in the STEMs, and so that's the significance of that piece. And actually, I think in the movie, Delroy Lindo, who plays West Indian Archie, tells Malcolm, "Don't write your numbers down; just memorize them." So that blog post, coincidentally, continues to be one of the, or should I say, the highest performing blog post on my platform. So that story is resonating with a lot of people, and that idea is resonating with a lot of people. But the opening quote of that blog post is something that my father said to me years ago, which is that people in the inner cities are naturally creative by nature, and that's because they don't have the resources that a lot of other groups have, and oftentimes they have to improvise. I remember a couple of years ago, I was at the Congressional Black Caucus annual legislative conference, and I believe they had a panel on the school to prison pipeline. And one of the panelists told a story about how he went into a jail, and one of the older inmates showed him how to prepare tea with a light bulb. Again, he didn't have all of the equipment to prepare a cup of tea, but he showed him, okay, you just take this light bulb like this, situated here. This will boil your water, and you just put your tea bag on the inside. So there's a lot of wasted talent in the inner cities, and that's what that blog post, that guest blog post and that contributor blog post made me think about, in addition to my Apple blog post and my West Indian Archie blog post. So, on that same vein, one of the things that I want to do, and one of my biggest contributions, I believe, is to tell my own STEM story, my own science story. And I think that, and not just telling and saying that I got a PhD from the University of Michigan. I want to tell the whole thing, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because when I look back at my journey, I think I'm very, very fortunate to be here. I didn't have a lot of, I didn't have any STEM professionals in my family, and there are a lot of places where my journey could have gone wrong, and where it could have come off the rails, and a turn here or here, and I wouldn't have my PhD in pharmacology, and in some instances I could be dead. I know that might surprise you, but yeah, just as an inner city kid, there are a lot of things that can go wrong on your way up. And so I'm going to leave my video talking about how I got started, how I became interested in life sciences. I'm going to leave that in the description box below, and I'm going to leave my my blog post on how I earned my STEM degree. That basically walks through my major learning points It walks through the major learning points that I had to learn during my doctoral research. But that's just, that's just highlighting certain points. That's not the whole story. So I want to discuss the whole story piece by piece. Elementary school, high school, undergrad, graduate school, and then, what I've experienced out in the working world. It's important to talk about not just what to do, but also what not to do. And I think that, again, we're seeing a lot of efforts to get kids involved. That's important. We're seeing the whole STEAM piece. That's important as well. And I know one Michigan, fellow Michigan alum who's got a channel just proposing experiments that can be done at home, and that's important as well. And I want to have him come on the channel at some point. But I think we also need individuals talking about the process, learning to do science, and all the challenges involved when you don't come from that background, and when you have to learn how to do it and to learn how to think and make your plots and put together research papers, and how to drive your project, and how to nurture your project, and how to become a professional, and all the growing pains involved, and even some of the cultural aspects of becoming a professional, and having to reconcile the community and the culture you come from with what you're being trained to become. I think all that needs to be discussed for the generations coming after me and those in my current peer group. So I'm lucky to be here. So I want to talk about that in addition to continuing to have guests, like my most recent guest, Nicole Ali, who talked about CRISPR. Shout out to Nicole. Thank you for coming on. I hope you come back. I want to have other guests on, and there are a lot of other things I want to do with this channel. And I want to eventually branch out, not just talk about the biological sciences, but also some astronomy and some astrophysics and some atmospheric chemistry. So there are a number of things I want to do right here on Big Discussion 76, Science and Technology. But I believe that telling my story is arguably the most important thing I can communicate here, because I believe it will lay the groundwork for those generations coming after me. And I think that, a lot of professionals, particularly professionals of color, don't always understand the importance of getting out of the cube and getting out of their workplace and telling their story and telling the how. The how is arguably the most important part, I believe. And so I think I'm going to end this here. So look out, in addition to talking about pharmacology and toxicology and CRISPR and all of the coronavirus and COVID-19, look out for look out for me telling my STEM story. So I'm going to stop this here. As per usual, please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any comments or questions yourself. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.